Hello, everybody. I am the Shadow Trader. This is Shadow Analysis, and today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I have more macro analysis videos to release, and I want to release way more than what I have planned. Uh, if you guys want to comment down below on stocks I should do macro analysis on, you can comment in any of my other videos as well. Also, if you want to comment on X and let me know what I should do, I'm Shadow Trader 17 over on X. But today I wanted to do basically my mindset, how I think when I do technical analysis, right? Kind of a how to, but not really. I'm not teaching you how to. I'm just teaching you what I know, and not everything I know, and not every single detail anyway. And I don't know, I like to ramble on, but this is one of those videos where I can do that. And so let's get into it. I wanted to do something that I was more familiar with. Uh, but I want to do something that I haven't looked at in a long time, something I'm less familiar with, something that I've already traded, but what? Let's do something I haven't traded. Let's try CG. I've never traded CGC, so let's do that. I've watched this one for a very long time, so okay. Let's do CGC. It looks like I haven't even drawn on it yet, so this is perfect. This is beautiful. Definitely use this. Ooh, look at that downtrend. Horrible, horrible stuff. Man. Let's take a look at the weekly on this one. I'm curious, see how high it went. And then I think they've done splits on this one before, but I'm not 100% positive. I remember this one in 2020. 2020, where were we in 2020? Here. Yeah. I remember the hype. Interesting. Yeah, it signaled, that we were close to a bottom here, and then it shot down, and then it signaled another bottom. Interesting. And then I think it's probably going to go do it again. I think you're going to get a double bottom here, or really a triple bottom, but I want to say the bottom starts here. Right, you were signaled here, but I think it starts here, guys. Um, yeah, so let's get into it, guys. So when I look at a stock, my first process is to look at the whole chart, see what it's done. Always look left. I just look at the whole thing, you know what I mean? And so we'll do this, and then I will arbitrarily just start marking supports and resistances, and these won't remain. This is just for me to get a deeper look at the stock here and just kind of understand it a little bit. Because you want to understand a chart because the charts are live, you know what I'm saying? Because it's ran by AI, and AI has an identity, believe it or not. Well, it's programmed to have one, and you want to identify that identity. So, very interesting. Now, now we look at indicators, see what we're doing. All right. Let's start with the RSI because that tells us a lot. We're not going to go deeper just yet. We will, of course, but with the RSI, very interesting stuff. You hit a bottom there. You didn't quite hit a top when you went up, meaning it can go higher. So that's interesting, which means this support or resistance here. Actually, we can make another one here. Oops, oh my God, I'm tripping. Make another one here. Okay, and then so here and here you're gonna get some resistance. We can mark that in, but we're gonna make that a little bit thinner here. Right. So we can actually see it. And we're gonna make it a different color. Let's go white. All right. So these are all the places where you're gonna get stopped at. Places where it wouldn't be necessarily a bad thing to take profit, depending on the reaction here. Are you going to go higher or are you going to go down? And are you going to break this? Whether or not you break this doesn't matter. If you get resistance here and the indicator looks like it's pretty topped out, you're going to get out, right? If you think it's just going to dip and keep running because the indicators are low and it looks really strong, obviously hold on to it, right? There's different factors to this. You know what I mean? Trading is very difficult thing to do. So okay. So anyways, when I start off, I look at the big chart. I look at the resistances, the supports, try to kind of iron it out like I'm doing here, right? So you got all these places where you can be stopped and where you can gain support to go higher. All very interesting stuff. And this is all done mathematically. So it's obviously a proven thing. And I don't know the mathematics, so don't ask. I'm very bad at math. I'm just very good at recognizing patterns, right? So one of the things I actually am very intelligent on is recognizing patterns. So this kind of stuff comes very easily to me. And like I said, we're not going to keep all this here. This is a bunch of clutter, a bunch of nonsense, right? We're just kind of trying to get a look. Okay, so between 882 and 341, you have minor resistances. We're going to go ahead and get rid of those minor resistances. All right. And then between 281, we're going to actually make this a major resistance. We're going to change this back to blue and change this to 4. And we're going to get rid of this one here. Okay. Because this is actually a minor. This is also a minor. We're actually going to keep this one though. But we are going to make it white and we are going to make it thin. All right. So starting to come together here. All right. Uh, this one is kind of major resistance, but we're gonna put it here instead. This one we can get rid of. We can get rid of. We know there's gonna be just note visually and mentally note here, 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 here. These are all gonna be minor resistances or supports that you're gonna see, and that's why you see things like this happen because of these minor resistances support. And so just note that when you come through, well, when it comes back up here, it's gonna do like this. It's gonna go blah 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 blah. Same thing here, blah 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 blah. But you know that on the way up, unless something really bad happens, you get like extremely bad news that's gonna change the dynamics of the analysis. You know that once it starts moving up, it's gonna move sideways, but it's gonna keep moving up, right? It's gonna keep moving up because it's an uptrend. But how far? And that's something you also have to determine as um an analyst, but the best way, the 100% best way to determine if it's going to continue going up once it hits, let's say, hits that resistance and it comes back down, but it's in an uptrend. How do you determine whether or not it's going to break that resistance or not? And the truth is, you don't. You know, as an investor, you just hold and hope, and you buy more as it drops. As an investor, you also should be taking profit. If you get resistance here, you should be taking some profit, getting back in one of your little minor supports, or if you think it's come back to a major support, then you buy more shares. That simple. And it's kind of the same thing if you for the trader, if you're trading shares, you should be doing that exact same thing if you want to stay in the ride and don't want to take them all at once. I would just take them all at once because it's already low here. It's kind of low already, right? Once you get higher, it's a different story. You don't want to take it all at once because you might have a low average. You're not going to have this type of average if you've been buying all on the way up. Your average is going to increase. You're still going to make more money overall. You know, that's something you want to determine on your own. It's not something that you want to decide and on the fly because you might regret that. You always want to have a plan for your trades, and you always want to have, you always want to make sure you're executing those plans because if you go and you break your plan, um, unless it's to save you because your plan absolutely failed, then you're probably going to make a mistake. And so I think And just from looking at this, we're gonna move up here, right? Just from looking at this, I can already tell we're gonna move up. I can recognize the pattern here. It's a pretty bullish pattern here. You've also hit the support. It's green, right? That doesn't mean anything. That means the stock can still break, but when you're in the moment, like we are now, it's still pretty close to that moment. A green bar, a green candle is amazing. That's what you want to see. That's pretty much a bottom there. And then I have indicators to kind of support that bottom, bottom. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I try to find bottoms. I try to find, and I'm not just gonna listen to those two indicators either. Right? I'm gonna, oh, look, bottom, bottom, green, it's bottom. I don't think that way. Um, let's continue. Okay, so once you get your supports and your resistances, you know that this here is gonna be big sideways movement right here, here as well before you move up. If you move that high, I'm not saying we are. This isn't an analysis video. This is just showing my mindset. I'm just showing you other things that could possibly happen when you go up to these in between these major support and resistances here, which are also called supply and demand zones. All right. So now we have to understand the current trend. It is in a downtrend. That is obvious. But here, so it hasn't even broken out yet. It kind of, well, so depending on where you put your, we want to, this here could also be, right? But you want to make sure you get the furthest. If you want to get the furthest, it'd be this one right here. And so now you can say, okay, well, if it moves up right here, this resistance right here is done, right? And it's going to come back down. Could stop here at the minor and go up. That's where you would expect it to. Could come back all the way down here and then rip, right? Um, and you can make all of them, right? You can make all of them just to make sure because those are also resistances and supports as well. And so if you want to mark all of them, be like just to kind of be sure because it might move here, come here, and actually let's get the rest of them and then I'll say my piece there. Right. And again, you can just delete these, but you just use it as an example of the fact that support and resistance is not linear. And so, yeah. I'm very proud of myself for someone with ADHD who's remembering these words on the fly. Normally, I'd forget them for like an hour and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I remember," and then nobody gives a shit because it was like an hour ago that I was thinking of these things. I hate being ADHD. I don't know about you guys, but it's awful. It's cool because I'm more of a creative person. I love to write. I love to do things like this and show you guys because things like this might seem silly, but like you're gonna make money once you learn the ins and outs and it's a lot of fun. But you can see here how that works, right? Look at that. Boom, boom. So this can all be used. And then you can leave this here, right? And then just let it move and maneuver through all these supports and resistances. And then once it leaves the final one and breaks out, then you just delete all of them, right? And then you can go from there and create new ones as it moves up. But these are just kind of things I do when I have time. Obviously on the fly, you just make your supports resistances real quick, check your indicators, and then you go from there. Make sure you sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy. You know what I mean? But and if you want to keep your miners there, you can keep your miners there. I like to get rid of a lot of them. Like I'll keep some of them here, and like if we move into like a new area, you might want to get rid of this one update these miners. You know what I mean? Just kind of keep it clean a little bit. I like to keep it clean because I like to show you guys my charts, and I really don't like when it's messy. So a lot of times I won't delete them. I'll just hide them, and then that way it's a lot more neater for you guys to see. If you're just looking at it for yourself and you don't care, then you don't care. You know what I mean? It's nice. Sometimes it's nice to have all the sports resistances all over because then you can see how the stock moves, and those are easily tradable day trades. You know what I mean? For example, boom, here took a day. If you would have got an option that ended at the end of the week, you would have made fantastic money, guys. And then you could have got out there once it hit that resistance there, you could have got out. Look at that. You could have bought puts. See, easily tradable, not necessarily day trades, but you could get weekly trades. It could be a day trade. You know what I'm saying? This right here, easy day trade. Look at that. And so this is just the kind of mindset I see. And then like when I look at stuff like this, like I easily recognize these patterns. Like I said, I'm really good at recognizing patterns and hidden things like that. So my eyes kind of, and look at this. My eyes kind of adapt to stuff like this very easily. Hmm, interesting. It's kind of useless, but you see here is another, right? And that's interesting because it comes from nowhere. Obviously, we are probably looking at this. It's kind of hard to see. Let me zoom in real quick. Sorry when I talk low, guys. I kind of go into my talking to myself phase as I'm doing this. I kind of talk low like you would do when you're talking to yourself, like that. You know what I mean? So, boom, right there. Yep, look at that. And it's pointless, right? It never came back down. At the time, it wouldn't have been pointless, but it's pointless for us now because we're not there anymore. We left. So you can leave it there if you want. I'm probably gonna delete this stuff. I'm actually gonna keep it here for now, but I'm probably gonna delete it once it finishes breaking out. You know, it's already on my list, so it's just something I'm just gonna keep up with for now on. Why not, right? But you guys can sit back on like a weekday or a weekend when there's no stocks trading, and you can just kind of do this and look at your stocks and just take a look at them for a little while, right? Like don't let your body rush you. You know what I'm saying? Don't feel like you have to rush through everything. Take your time. Making money should be simple. It shouldn't be hard. But you should also have to put in your due diligence. So whether that comes to fundamentals as an investor or whether it comes to technicals as a trader. Even fundamentals even help as a technical trader, but I don't need much, right? I just need to know what sector we're in. I need to know recent news. If you're trading a stock, you want to keep up with recent news. Just things like that. As an investor, you want to know a lot more because you're in it for the long term. You're in it for the long haul. You want to know every single thing about that company. What news they came out with 3 years ago that they said they were going to announce in the future? Did they ever announce it? Will they ever announce it? Those are kind of things you want to look at as an investor, but as a trader, you don't really need to know those things unless you plan on trading in 3 years. Oh, look at this. In 3 years, they're going to do this. You know what I'm saying? In 2 years, maybe you're getting ready for that trade. Maybe you start seeing little bits and pieces of news of that thing that might happen. Uh, Kind of useless to me, in my opinion. Wait for the moment and then trade the moment as a trader. As an investor, obviously, you want to invest. If they come out with that news 3 years ago, obviously, hopefully you're investing for 3 years because if that thing happens, then well, you're gonna make a lot of money depending on where you bought. As an investor, technical trading, not necessarily technical trading, but technical analysis is really good because it's gonna let you know if your stock's gonna drop. And maybe you don't care. Maybe you want to buy it at $5, even though it can drop to 30 cents. Maybe you don't care because you think it's going to go way higher than $5, and you're just buying on the way down, all the way from $5 to 30 cents. That's fine too. Uh, I if I don't check a stock, and I just say because I've been guilty of seeing a stock, seeing what it does, and be like, damn, I want that stock, and I just buy it. And then I look at the analysis next, and I'm like, oh damn, it's gonna drop way more. Uh, if I do that, I'm keeping it. I'm investing on the way down. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with it because I just did the analysis. I think it's gonna go way higher than what I bought at anyways. That's fine. If I'm smart and I'm not too much ADHD and I can think in the moment and I check the analysis first, I'm gonna wait for it to drop and then I'm gonna buy it. I'm sorry. If the analysis says it's gonna drop, it's gonna drop. A lot of times when it's dropping, like in a bear phase or whatever, and a lot of pennies are still in their bear phase and trying to reverse to the bullish phase. Good news, you might get pumps here and there, but good news isn't going to matter until it hits bottom. Once it hits bottom, then that's when the rich people get in. And they might have been getting in on the way down, right? But they've also got more money to deal with. And people like me who don't have as much money as they do tend to not have enough money, especially to spread your money out. I don't like to spread my money out between a bunch of different stocks. But I also don't like putting in one basket. I will because I don't have much anyway. So, I don't have much to lose. So I will put in one basket, but getting in a better position in my life, making a little bit more money than I was a few years ago, I like to spread my money around between one to two stock, one to three stocks, to be honest with you. If I'm holding more than three, I'll trade some of those, get out, put it into one of the other stocks that I'm holding more long term, or that I'm just doing a longer trade on because I also trade penny stocks like this for example. I consider this a penny stock. Any stock under $5 is technically considered a penny stock. So this is a penny stock here, right? I would invest in this, right? Do I think it's gonna go lower? No, not right now. So, yeah, I would. But if even if it would go lower, I would invest in this. I would just wait and then just invest as it moves sideways for a year, and then let it pop off, right? You can make big money like that, and I don't consider that an investment. It's just a really long trade, right? Um, and it might not be a year, right? It might be like 3 to 6 months once it hits bottom. You know what I'm saying? But you never know. And just if you do invest in stocks, or not necessarily, but if you trade stocks like this, be prepared to wait. If you want something more short term, there's plenty of stocks out there that can move, um, have bigger moves in the more short term, like SPY, for example. I used to trade SPY. I used to be very, very amazing at technically trading SPY. And you can make fantastic money on SPY. And you can trade that intraday a lot easier than you could something like this. Now, you could trade this intraday. You're not going to make very much unless you're putting in a lot, right? Because these small moves here, fantastic. You put in a few grand, maybe 10 grand. Maybe you have 10 grand to play around with. You put in 10 grand on one of these intraday trades, you're going to make thousands. Easy, easy. Um, so for me, someone who has less money, if I were to put it into this stock, I would just not necessarily day trade it, right? I might swing trade it. Like if it goes here, it's definitely going to drop again, right, guys? Come down here. If it comes down to, even if it only comes down this low and not this low ever again, that's still two to, well, three, technically, let's say $3 to $21 is a big difference. So, you know, that's just something to think about. You guys, I don't, I used to have that mindset where I would just think that stocks only go up and that they don't go down. But as you can see, just from this one example here, this example here, stocks are not linear. Yeah, here you had this major move down, but it wasn't a great company. And I haven't learned much about them since 2020, so I don't know how well they are now, so don't kill me for saying that. But back then they weren't a great company. If you believed that they were going to be great in the future, you're buying here and you lost out because they were just a bad company. Obviously, if you continue to buy through here and you're continuing to buy now, you're going to get rewarded in the future if if they've done things to better the company and they merit a move that high. Sometimes a lot of stocks that aren't even good companies will move that high, but then you'll get the rug pulled and you'll lose that money in a day, even if it took you, 2 years to accumulate that money that moved up. They're gonna rug pull you in a day because they're there to make money, just like you. They just have more control over the market than we do. So you have to learn how they do it. You have to learn their mindset. This is them, guys. Support and resistance. This is them. This is retail traders too, but this is them guys. This is the algo moving in and out because when they put money into the dark pool, the algo has funds to play around with. They're not just going to put all the money in the market at one time. That's why they invest in the dark pool because major moves up and major moves down would kill the market and the economy, quite frankly, because some stocks just wouldn't go down. Um, uh, Nvidia, for example, would be at 1 million right now if they just put money from the dark pool straight into the market, or if they just traded straight into the market, didn't even bother with the dark pool. Imagine that. And I don't like that. I don't like that idea. Yeah, Nvidia would be quadrillionaires, sure, Nvidia traders, rather. But there's people out there that want to get in these stocks. There's people out there that should have a fair shot at it. And their corruption and how they do things in the market is what makes it possible for people that live in poverty or are in the lower middle class or anywhere that they don't want to be where they currently are. That's the only way they can make it. That's the only way they can get done what they want done is of the corruption because they push it back down and not necessarily this stock. I'm talking like stocks like Nvidia that would be at like 1 million per share if it didn't ever come down, right? Because people would just be buying the crap out of it. Not maybe not right this second, they're still buying the crap out of it, but I'm talking like back when it first started running, when ChatGPT was first announced and Nvidia blew up. My God, guys, can you imagine? Nobody would ever be able to afford it in their lifetime. Hell, they had to do a split just to bring the price down. So, and they might have to do it again. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, nobody would be able to afford it if they didn't do stuff like that. So here we are, right? Yeah. Well, all right, guys. So, uh, what did I explain? See what I'm talking about? I just ramble on. Now I forget what I'm talking about. Um, Support resistances, recognizing different types of support resistances like trend lines here that go diagonally. And like I said, you can get rid of some of these inner. You just need like this one or this one, the outer ones. This one's even better because then you know when it's truly going to break out because it could just continue moving sideways here until it finally breaks out, right? Fully. So there's so many nuances though to the market. It's not just as simple as this, but this is what I do, like just at the start when I'm looking at it and just kind of recognize it and look at it. And you can combine it with like your indicators, right? So you got so even if it does look like it's gonna well, let me let's look at that a little bit closer. It does look like it's gonna move up, but like you've got so much here, right? And then imagine all the minor resistances that we erase too. So you're going to be moving it's going to be very choppy for a while. Even if it does move up, it's still going to be pretty choppy. Excuse me. But the important thing is it is going to move up, but you can use all the support and resistances to just buy. You don't necessarily have to sell if you're not if you're not scalping it, but buy, 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 buy. You know what I mean? So, and you don't have to be so technical like that. Like I said, you don't need all of this stuff. You just need the basic stuff just to trade. That's it. That's it. You just gotta be more willing to wait. But the more you have, the more you understand how it moves and where it could possibly get stopped at or where it could possibly find support. So right. And then I'll also use like some of these indicators I pay for, but you get your free ones like RSI, MACD is a very good one. You don't want to use MACD alone. Sorry guys, I'm using the free version of TradingView because I'm a cheap bastard and I hate spending money unless it makes me money. I will get the paid version soon to make it better for you guys for content and stuff, but And the money I make on trades pays for it, so it's not a huge deal. It's just okay. So here's the zero line, guys. So MACD is great because you can kind of also see the trend with this. Feel like here you would have noticed that it would have had more time down. You even found the bottom here once it started moving up. Once it started getting ready to cross, you knew that it could either possibly get resisted here and move down or move up. But if you watch the price action and if you look at the RSI combined with that, you would know that it was probably going to cross. So, right. And then you see it's pretty high here when it started coming down, coming down, coming down, and it's still kind of high. It could still come down, guys. It could bounce, sure, but it could still come down. Notice the zero line here, so it could get resisted at the zero line and come back down. So keep that in mind. Pay attention to where that's at, where the RSI is at the time. But if he starts peeking his head over and there's still been run, get ready for a bigger run. All right, and then find that big resistance. Like here is could probably be like here, right? And then if it starts peeking up and the RSI is not too high and it looks like it can still run, I mean that's a big gap there. You might want to start marking your minor resistances and supports here just to make sure. But that I mean that's a pretty big rate. It might not go all the way at first, right? Depending on how high or how overheated you currently are. And then like I pay for certain indicators to show me certain things because RSI doesn't show you the whole story. It shows you a lot, but there's things that happen in between the market, and then I'll use certain indicators to kind of like help me determine those things. And like here you can see it's still bearish for sure. But once it crosses over all of these daily averages, then it's obviously going to start going bullish. You have here major resistance here, major resistance as we explained just a little bit ago. I already told you that, and then here it's showing that it's a major resistance. So, but you don't need these indicators, as you can see from just the support and resistance and recognizing the supply and demand zones. I told you the whole story that this is already telling you, right? But these help kind of back your analysis so you can feel more confident about it as you're going through. Plus, I didn't really. Well, okay. So this minor might be end up being a major one soon here as this one moves down. I think it'll. Well, I think it's more so aligned with this resistance too. So if you could hit this one and you come down and you hold right here, it's for sure going to keep going higher. But you got to watch out for this resistance right here. It could be a doozy, as Skylar would say. Um, Yeah, guys. I also use where I got um the indicators from Easy Peasy Trading. I also use their detailed data, and you can use similar data from like um what the hell's the name of it? Unusual Whales, right? But this is what I use, and then I use a lot of data like dark pool data, so we can look at like CGC for example, and then we can see that there's buys and sells happening here. Here's the price action. And then I'll use like to like confirm what these are or any of these, I'll use the block trades and it kind of shows you basically the same thing. Right, so more sells here. So where the price is now, where we saw the DP, aka dark pool levels, know what you sick bastards are thinking. But if we look at the DP amount here, we could see from this that it was more sales. There was buys, sure, but there was more sales than there were buys here. The previous DP amount, there was more buys here, and then more sales, more sales. So there are people. But it was in a downtrend here. It's starting to move up here, but yeah, you can see there's more sales. So there's probably going to be a dip coming. If not now, then soon. We'll have to see what that is next week. See if there's a giant green bar going through. Once it hits support, what are they buying? And then you can use the live flow, obviously, that are pulled to try to figure it out. Or well, you already figured out through the block trades, but you can see here the single trades here, CDC, and what they're buying, 32,000, the premium, right? Check all the data here. Okay, what the hell are we doing here? Okay, you can kind of see there what time they bought it at, and just kind of just check some of the data and see if it aligns with what you want to do. You know what I mean? So I want to thank you guys for joining me on this. I really enjoyed going over this with you. But this is basically what I do. This is the basics of what I do, right? And some looking at data like that is kind of like more advanced stuff. Using some of these indicators are like more advanced stuff. But at the end of the day, trading shouldn't be that difficult, right? There's basic things you can do. Support and resistance, basic trading, right? A lot of people, though, if they're trading like options, it's just a more dangerous thing to trade. But if you're going to trade supply and demand zones like this with options, get longer options. Stop trying to gamble and get 1 week options. You know, you're going to fail if you're trying to do that. Like 90% of the time, it's a gamble. Stop it. You're losing money for no reason. Get longer options. Yeah, you're gonna make less money, but you're still gonna make money, especially if it goes all the way up, right? And hit your target. Check the data back here, right? Come in here. Yeah, it's moving down. It's moving the opposite way, but let's look at the data from the point that it moved down in 23. It literally took literally took a whole year, almost 2 years, if, for whoever was shorting this. If they didn't sell here, they should have sold here. But if they didn't sell here, they definitely lost money just for it moving sideways before it even broke. So, just saying, guys, stop gambling your money. Use support resistance. Use supply and demand. It's not difficult. It doesn't have to be. And I'm willing to answer any questions. If you have any questions about what I talked about, or this was not meant to be a long video. I think it turned into one. But this is just the basics, right? Basics of what I wanted. When I first look at a chart, what do I look at first? And that's what I look at, right? I don't look at the momentum it currently has. If the momentum is already high and it's already been running, don't even bother, right? Just do your analysis, see what it's doing, see where the next resistance is, and maybe you want to short it, right? Maybe it's like a big stock like Spire or something that you can make a lot of money on a quick short. Although you want to make sure you're right on SPY if you short it, because that's a stock that you can lose a lot of money on if you short and you're wrong. But maybe you don't want to short it. Maybe you just want to wait for it to come back down to support, and you can see from everything you're looking at, the data, the indicators, the support, the way the price action, the candle is forming, that maybe you want to get back in on calls, right? Um, but sometimes it's just better to wait. And if you really want to play that stock, just wait. If you don't want to go finding another one that's in a much better position to move higher, then just wait. It's always better to just wait. Better safe than sorry. You know what I mean? All right, guys. If you have any questions at all about um, indicators, or if you have any questions about the kind of data I use, or how I do my basics, or more basic stuff that I may not have even talked about here, there could be a lot. Maybe we'll make this a multi video. Maybe I'll come out with some more stuff. Maybe stuff I missed. I'll try to think about it as I'm doing analysis in the future. But yeah, guys, this is just kind of what I do, the stuff I look at, and it's not difficult. It's pretty easy. So I want to thank you guys for joining me here, watching this video. Please give me a thumbs up. If you liked what you saw and you want to see a lot more of this, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. But likes would really help me get seen more. so I can do a lot more of this. Um, but I'm gonna do a lot of this anyway, period, because I love doing this. Although I do have other stuff that I do, so and it is gonna be getting more busier on that end. So I'm gonna try to fit this more into my schedule so I can do a lot more of it and release a lot more of it. Analysis and whatnot. I'm also gonna be doing follow up videos on my other ones for like um uh minor analysis or can't even think of the word right now. But uh you know smaller time frames. Instead of doing like the yearly or the weekly, I want to show you guys the kind of what it's doing on the shorter term, so we can see together how support resistance works, how, and I might get on for a live stream soon, so we could just analyze the market as it goes, maybe do a trade here and there. I don't know. We'll see. Right now, because I think right now I'm waiting on NVIS to finish moving. Um, I already did a video about this. It wasn't a great video, but there's not much to say here. It's moving sideways, right? I'm waiting for it to make a move within this supply. Well, what I hope is a demand zone here, right? You got weakness here, but this stock also tends to. That's the only thing I got on. Let's look at the RSI so I can show you guys. This one tends to go oversold pretty quickly. I do have something on. What do I have on? Okay, back to you. Yeah, and see, it's just over, the zero line here. So it's got room to run on the longer end. And even if we go like down to the daily, for example, okay, see the daily is coming down. The daily is coming down, and look at that, it is gonna get pushed down more here. Wow, look at that. So, but I did say that already, um, because that's what here the bull trap. Um, you got the weakness here, so it could come down here or even here. I don't think it's gonna be down that low. I think 40, the low 40s would be probably the lowest it would go, and I think it see probably actually let's look at something else too because um, I want to see the same doctor. I want to get more than one opinion here. Okay, he did hit it. He did get a top around here. We are starting to come down a little bit, but that can be turned around easily. That honestly, you can kind of see from these indicators like what their earnings might be like too. Because some people know, some people on the inside know, and they'll prepare for it. You know what I mean? So they might be preparing for it now. Hmm, that looks kind of bullish. That looks kind of bullish. Now it can come down more. Not much more, guys. It hasn't. Okay, it came down pretty low here. So it can always look left, guys. Always look left. See where the history was, right? And that, but of course, you gotta also compare that when it went that low, it was actually really low. I just don't think it's going to continue to be that low, not for a little while, anyways, right? And then we got um like one more thing. And so yeah, we didn't even get a top. We got bottoms. Hell, you got bottoms back here at these aren't really good indicators though because you did come down here and technically the bottom really started here, right? And so Since then, you haven't got another bottom or a top signal, right? And well, here and here, we got one more support to test here at the zero line. I definitely think that we'll get that test. I don't know where that's going to end up here as far as these support resistances go, but definitely think we can come down here and test this support. So we will see for sure. Guys. Anyways, that's how I use support and resistance and just combine it with different indicators and just kind of see and get an idea of where you're going. Obviously, I'm not doing real analysis here, or I would be looking at, different things, right? What kind of options are out on the market? If stocks use options, you can use data analysis for options, kind of see how many options are out on the market and where it's gonna kind of go for the week. You can always tell what the current options of the week, how many of those are being held, right? I think they report their options tomorrow, so we're gonna see. And even if if their options are good, but they still drop, then prepare to buy more because it will move up for sure. But it's also been overbought for a while, and they did just lower the price target. So I still definitely think it's gonna come up here and hit this. The question is when, right? My options expire in September. At this point, I'm not 100% that my options are gonna live that long, right? Will September make it? Mid-September. Will mid-September make it at this point? When it's a little bit lower, I was like, yeah, possibly, but it's hitting resistance here now. I do think it's gonna go higher, but then again, with great earnings, you never know. It could completely just flip, go, could get that topping signal finally, and then it might come back down. So you never know, guys. Just watch it, see what it does. If you feel comfortable getting out, like if you're in here, you feel comfortable getting out, waiting for it to fall wherever it goes, then do that. Get yourself a longer option or something. I'm gonna wait this one out as long as I stay within my zone that I bought in. I'm okay holding. If I need to extend them longer, I'll add a little bit more money and I'll do that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I'll try to do a follow-up video if I notice like anything that I want to add to how I do analysis. But I mean, this is pretty much what I do on a daily basis, and I'm a little quicker with it when I'm by myself and talking to myself about stocks. I'm a little more fluent to moving through the different data and the different, so I can try to get some analysis for you guys posted on X. But hopefully now I can just release. I'm still going to release obviously analysis on X, but hopefully now I can get video analysis for you guys. And start moving a little more fluent with you guys. And I kind of do move a little fluently as I do analysis for you guys on the video. But that's kind of why I wanted to stop here and be like, this is why I do what I do. This is basically what I do. My thought process on everything. So um, yeah. All right, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Again, thumbs up, subscribe, and notification bell if you want more videos. I'll be releasing plenty more soon. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate every single view that I have, even if you're only watching for 30 seconds. I want to thank you. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.